This lecture is about the Scrum Lifecycle and the roles involved. Scrum is one implementation of the Agile Project Management Framework. We've seen this picture previously, which shows the general approach of an Agile project, in particular, a Scrum project, showing the different roles, stages, and deliverables during the project. Projects begin with an analysis phase, where the best possible representation of the system is discovered. Then the teams take the set of requirements, define and develop solutions in very short, fixed time frames, usually 3 to 6 weeks. It's intended that features are defined to be small enough to be completed in these short time frames in order to keep the project moving forward and getting feedback from end users. At the end of each iteration, stock is taken of the progress in a sprint review. The requirements are updated, reprioritized, and the process starts all over again, with developers delivering on the next set of features or functionalities. This rhythm can continue over and over again until a project is fully realized or until the organizational priorities shift. In this lecture, we're going to focus on the steps in the life cycle and specifically the roles of the different participants. In future lectures, we'll talk about how the different artifacts that are created and also the ceremonies or rituals. These are the defined interactions which make the process consistent. We'll look at how to estimate the work for a given sprint and how to plan each sprint and the overall project. There's many different roles and players in a Scrum project. First, we have stakeholders. This encompasses nearly everyone in this drawing, from the team to management to end users. Anyone who will be affected by the project or who can exert interest in the project would be considered a stakeholder. We've previously spoken about stakeholder management and the importance of managing both expectation and influence of stakeholders in a project. We'll revisit again on the next slide. Other roles in the project include the product owner, who is responsible for providing direction to the team. The Scrum Master, who can be thought of as the project manager. They protect the team by representing their interests outside the project, remove obstacles, and facilitate the rituals and ceremonies. The Scrum team, or the developers, includes the individuals that are putting together the solution. Typically, this is a very small squad of 5 to 9 people focused on a particular project. And end users, these are the customers of the solution, the ones that will ultimately use the solution and can help provide direction into the requirements and details of the business process. Sometimes there are specialist roles involved as well. Architects, testers, configuration, and build managers. These roles have special functions and can sometimes show up in these kinds of projects. As we've said previously, Agile provides a set of principles. Scrum provides some vocabulary, rituals, and roles in support of an Agile process, but every organization is different and the role names may change, and even the process may differ. So, while we talk about the textbook version of Scrum, what you see in the real world may resemble this approach, but have a much different vocabulary and process. The term stakeholder represents anyone who has an interest in the project. Either they'll be affected by the outcome or they'll have an influence on how the project is implemented. As we've shared in previous lectures, managing stakeholders is an important skill for anyone taking on a project leadership role. In order to manage stakeholders effectively, we need to identify who are the stakeholders. This can include management, end users, or possibly even the team. We need to consider the impact that each of these stakeholders can have on the project, their interest in the success of the project, and their needs with regard to the outcome. One way to identify a stakeholder in a project is to consider what we call a RACI chart. RACI stands for responsible, accountable, concerned, and informed. Responsible team members do the work to complete the task. Every task needs at least one responsible party, but it's okay to assign more. Accountable. This person delegates the work and is the last one to review the task or deliverable before it's deemed complete. On some tasks, the responsible party may also serve as the accountable one. Be sure you only have one accountable person assigned to each task or deliverable. Consulted. Every deliverable is strengthened by review and consultation from more than one team member. Consulted parties are typically the people who provide input based on how it will impact their future project work or their domain of expertise on the deliverable itself. Informed team members simply need to be kept in the loop on the project progress rather than roped into the details of every deliverable. And so, while the same person can be both responsible and accountable for a task in a RACI matrix, they're not one and the same. What's the difference? This often trips up new project managers or people that have been around a while to think about these two separate roles. A responsible party is a task-oriented designation that applies to a person or people actually completing the work. A whole team can be responsible for the execution of one task. But accountability is the outcome-oriented designation that applies to a single person who reports on a work, whether in status updates or upon delivery. Being accountable means you must answer for and/or sign off on the deliverable and deal with the consequences if it falls short of the goals. In order to manage stakeholders effectively, we need to be able to identify them, assess their knowledge, skills, and analyze the product to ensure their needs are met. It's best to get them involved early by assigning them work, using them as experts, reporting progress to them, or involving them in changes and lessons learned. Stakeholders that have an influence on a project need to be managed effectively. That is, kept up to date on progress and consulted as roadblocks come up. Product owners are one of the most critical roles in Scrum. A product owner is actually part of the Scrum team, which includes the Scrum Master and the developers. The product owner provides direction to the team. Their role is to manage the project's ROI, return on investment, and also the risks. They build business cases for the projects and the features, and they're cognizant of all of the risks, helping to ensure that mitigation and contingency plans are in place. They take input from stakeholders about what the team should do, and they translate that into a backlog. They're responsible for assigning priority items to the backlog and helping to determine the release plan for the team. The product owner also communicates the plan and roadmap with external stakeholders. Product owners participate in important Scrum meetings, include the release and sprint planning in the sprint review. And the product owners are available to the team for clarifying requirements, answering questions, and providing feedback. Product owners are oftentimes more business-focused and less IT-centric. Having an expert-level understanding of the business process is a critical skill that all product managers should have. One of the main responsibilities of a product owner is to prioritize the requirements which are kept in the backlog. You can think of the backlog as a stack of note cards with the requirements written on. Each note card, or each item in the backlog that is, represents a specific requirement or task need to be completed during each sprint. The product owner is responsible for deciding which are the most important ones to move to the top of the stack for the iteration. It is essential that the product owners are aware of the most valuable requirements and tasks, so that these are prioritized highly, that they can be given the most attention and the highest urgency. There are a number of reasons why a feature or requirement is considered a high priority. For instance, requirements may be prioritized because they provide a competitive advantage or they provide a cost savings or revenue increase. And the reasons, and while the reasons may vary, so do the methods for prioritization. Cost-benefit analysis, value versus risk, and relative weighting are all different ways to structure the approaches to the prioritization effort.
Regardless of what the reason is for the prioritization or the method used to establish the rank order, a key feature of Scrum is that priorities can change regularly. Priority is assessed and then reassessed at the start of each sprint, so about every 3 to 6 weeks. This means projects can constantly be adapting to external forces. It's the product manager's responsibility to keep up with these changes. We'll talk more about how to develop the project backlog and guidelines for developing items that belong in the backlog in a later lecture. At this point, it's important to recognize that a backlog exists and that it's product owners' responsibility to manage and prioritize this crucial tool. The Scrum Master is the next critical role that we'll talk about in the roles for a Scrum project. A Scrum Master helps the team to achieve its goal by serving the team, protecting the team, and supporting the team. The Scrum Master serves the team by facilitating the team's interactions, and they organize the Scrum rituals and other meetings. They remove obstacles that may be blocking the team. The Scrum Master protects the team from interference and disturbances and helps to resolve conflicts such as architectural differences and engagements with outside suppliers or consultants. They also insulate the team by representing them in status update meetings and other non-productive endeavors. Scrum Masters support the team's use of Scrum. They are often extremely experienced and can share guidance and best practice templates. They can help to audit the methodology to ensure that it's working properly, and they can help bring new team members into the flow of work to become productive quickly. Occasionally, and rarely, Scrum Masters can stand in for product owners when quick decisions need to be made with regard to priority or clarifying requirements. It is best that Scrum Masters are not team managers at the same time. This way, Scrum Managers can be more supportive. They don't have to manage the team directly and assign them tasks or drive the team. It's important to remember Scrum Masters don't make decisions on behalf of the team, and they don't rule over the teams such that they have veto authority. And although they stand in occasionally for product managers, they don't direct the product strategy. The best Scrum Masters are mentors with technical experience and political savvy, in that they know how to navigate the broader organization and manage stakeholders.
Next, we have the team. And every member of the team is called a developer because they all contribute to the development of the project. The best teams are ideally small, 5 to 9 members, and have cross-functional skills so they can contain all the skills necessary to deliver the value to the customer. A Scrum team is also self-managing. This means that team members need to collaborate a lot. Team members need to be able to hold each other accountable, mentor each other, and take on a variety of different roles, from coding to testing, from front of the system to the back. Teams need to be able to make decisions and take responsibility for those decisions without shaming or blaming, working well together. It needs to be okay to make mistakes on a team. The idea of Scrum is to embrace some calculated risk, which is going to result in failure. Teams need to support each other in taking risks and help each other to overcome failures in stride. Oftentimes, when management hears about Agile, they hear, "We're throwing out the rule book, and we'll let teams deliver on their own time and at their own pace. The predictability and structure of a waterfall project is gone, and so it's developers gone wild." In reality, it's important to recognize that Scrum provides structure and accountability, but it does so by moving authority toward the responsibility. In other words, rather than dictating from the outside how and when a task should be completed, an empowered team has the authority to determine how to implement the project that they've been given and the responsibility to do so. If this becomes the organizational culture, then an empowered team can spread this same authority responsibility agenda to each team member. People are most productive when they have control of what they're being held to account to deliver, and this is a key byproduct of an empowered project team. In this way, there's no mention of manager in the Scrum Lifecycle. As such, a team should be self-managing, supported by a Scrum Master and taking direction from the product manager who's managing the priorities. Now, this doesn't mean there's no place for a typical line manager, but the role changes a bit. Line managers need to be more mentors and coaches for the team, helping to instill and maintain the right culture while actively recruiting the right members to the squad. Managers should take responsibility for helping to understand the organizational structure and how the team fits in and supports it, while helping the team to develop skills through training and organizational opportunities. Managers should help insulate the team from distractions and represent the team's interest in outside events. The Scrum Lifecycle is a set of steps and roles that can bring Agile development to life. It helps to give form to the principles defined in the Agile Manifesto, and more importantly, it provides a framework, which can be the basis for how organizations deliver better software more reliably. The roles we described here, the product manager, the Scrum Master, and the developers, are all important members of the team, which is a self-managing entity, one that takes responsibility to deliver the priorities seriously and given the authority to make the best decisions about how to achieve the desired results. While there are just 3 roles identified in this life cycle, there is the possibility that other roles are necessary to support the overall effort, including a line manager who will support the development of the team. Architects, build managers, and dedicated testers are also common contributors. In future lectures, we'll delve into this life cycle a bit deeper, talk about how to go into gathering requirements to develop a backlog, how to estimate work to ensure the sprints are fruitful and can support fast iterations.